Ms. Jenks, you mentioned earlier, but I want to explore just a little further, that last Congress, our colleagues on the other side of the aisle passed legislation, the Dream and Promise Act, that in part allows DHS to waive the inadmissibility of aliens that illegally voted if doing so is deemed to be in the public interest. Now, why would they do that if there's not a problem with people who are illegally present in the United States voting?
There's only one reason to do that, and that is that illegal aliens are voting. I mean, there's no other explanation. And by the way, the American Dream and Promise Act that was introduced in this Congress contains the same provision. And the U.S. Citizenship Act that the Biden administration wrote and submitted to Congress in like the first week is worse because it actually automatically waives non-citizen voting and false claims to U.S. citizenship, so registering to vote.
How many illegal aliens has the Biden-Harris regime allowed into the country in their tenure?
At least 7.5 million allowed to enter into the country and remain.
And that number comes from public sources, right? The government reported sources of the number of releases into the United States, correct, whether they're unaccompanied alien children or whether they're notices to appear under the parole program, via the CBP One app, whatever it is, the releases under the administration's policies, which total somewhere in the range of 5.5 million plus the roughly 2 million gotaways. Is that correct?
Yes.
So 7.5 million people now in the United States. If just 1% of those individuals, we're talking, doing math in my head real quick, is that 75,000? If 1% of those individuals were to register to vote, that's a pretty significant number, correct? That could have a significant impact on elections in states where, for example, Al Franken won his Minnesota Senate seat by 300 votes, where a number of congressional colleagues of ours have won by 300 and something votes, where Merritt Miller Meeks won by 6 votes. So would you agree that's a pretty significant number?
Absolutely, and it's not just the 7.5 million illegal aliens, it's also the rest of the non-citizens who are in the country. So legal immigrants, refugees, they're all foreign students, all of these categories of non-citizens, all of them representing 30 million people, some percentage are voting.